The more I've spoken about feminism, the more I have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating.
Gender inequality refers to the unequal treatment of men and women. This could be in their daily lives or in their workplace. Gender inequality has been a problem since before the 1900s, and while both men and women are affected, women have had it a lot harder. Women were expected to stay home, cook and clean for their husbands and children. That began to change in the 1900s with women's suffrage. Women all around the world rallied together and began to fight back against what was seen as their inequalities. So I decided to ask my friends and teachers 3 important questions. How does gender inequality impact you? Do you know what the gender gap is? And how do you think we as a society can close the gap on gender inequality?
So the gender inequality affects any woman by their pay, how they're treated in their workforce, and then the gap is how women are treated below men, as if men are superior to women, no matter if they are doing the same job or if they're doing something superior to the men, they're still always treated below.
Gender inequality impacts me because it means that I constantly have to prove myself in the face of stereotypes, biases, preconceived notions, and double standards, and I have to work harder in order to reach the same goals and the same end results as those not affected by gender inequality.
Gender inequality doesn't impact me directly, but indirectly it makes me feel I feel bad for others that have to go through challenges that I didn't have to go through.
You may be asking, what is the pay gap? And does it really exist?
But the reality is, U.S. women working full-time earn just 80 cents for every dollar men earned in 2016. And the gap is even worse when broken down by race.
The wage gap is a huge problem in our society today, and it's even worse if you are a woman or a person of color. Even though the wage gap has significantly shrunk, it is still clear that white men overall are paid the most. Men make a median income of $45,000 a year, compared to women's $37,000 a year. In general, it is a lot worse for women. It takes women longer to pay off their student debt, and they have to deal with the pink tax.
The women's tax. For whatever reason, women often pay more than men, even when they're buying a similar product.
In 1995, California actually did a study and put the figure at $1,351 a year. So we put it to the test.
First, razors.
The Schick Hydro 5, $856.
Schick Hydro Silk, $9.97.
Whoa, that's more.
Seriously?
I didn't make the prices. Okay, here's a cologne I just bought. Narciso Rodriguez for him, $87.
Narciso Rodriguez for her, $106.60.
Does yours smell better?
I don't know. If we open them, we can't return them.
Okay, moving on.
I got Neutrogena Men's Age Fighter Face Moisturizer for $14.49.
I got this Neutrogena Anti-Wrinkle Cream for $21.99.
Okay, we should say that Neutrogena reached out and said these 2 products aren't exactly the same. The product most similar to the Neutrogena Men's Age Fighter Face Moisturizer is the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Anti-Wrinkle Cream. We looked it up. Same ingredients and everything. The men's product, $10.35 an ounce.
The women's product, $11.42. Huh.
What about health insurance? Doesn't that cost more?
It did. Women paid more than $1 billion a year more in premiums until 2010, when Obamacare banned gender pricing.
The pink tax affects millions of the population. This is simply making the cost of what is considered female items, such as shirts, deodorant, feminine products, toothbrushes, and much more expensive just by calling it for her or making the packaging pink. Gender inequality also affects men, even if people don't realize it. Boys are taught from a young age to not cry, to be a man, and to be strong. One way you can see the effects of this is through toxic masculinity.
Stop crying.
Stop with the tears.
Don't cry.
Pick yourself up. Stop with the emotions.
Don't be a pussy.
Don't
let nobody disrespect you.
be cool and be kind of a dick.
Always keep your mouth
Nobody
shut.
likes a tattletale.
Bros come before hoes.
Don't let your woman run your
You
life.
a bitch.
What a fag.
Get laid. Do something.
Be a man.
Be a man.
Grow some balls.
Toxic masculinity refers to the socially constructed attitudes that describe the masculine gender role as violent, unemotional, and aggressive. Teaching boys to suppress their emotions from a young age is dangerous to them, compared to girls who are encouraged to show their emotions. Finally, we get to the question that I asked all my friends. How do you think we as a society can close the gap on gender inequality?
To close the gap in between gender equality, I think we should probably put younger people into office, people that are part of a younger generation that understands the inequality, whether it's the wage gap or certain societal things like slut shaming and other things. And then also it depends on the way we raise our children, how we raise boys and girls, because we can raise boys the same as girls in a way, as like be respectful of each other and like accept people for who they are. And there should be like equal treatment.
Society, one way that we can, close the gap between genders is to first identify that it is an actual issue that we face and that exists in society, because many people are really the only people who identify it as an issue and who work towards the goal of, creating equality are those that are affected by it. Many people who who are not affected by gender inequality kind of don't see that it is something that we face, the glass ceiling, the wage gap, they're kind of blinded to it. But I think identifying that it is something that we face in society will bring us one step closer to creating solutions that will close the gap between genders and establish equality for all.
As a society, we need to eliminate some of the stereotypes. I know stereotypes aren't never going to go away, but we need to have equality, and we need to respect as men that females could do whatever they want, and females need to respect that men could do whatever they want. It's just, it needs to be equal, it needs to be right, and that's how this world should be today, equal.
Men are needed in our society, but so are women. We all come from women. Most of us are raised by women, and some of us are raised by men. We have women and men that are doctors and nurses and teachers and friends. So why don't we treat them all like they're human? At the end of the day, that's all that we are. So why don't we start acting like it?